What's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of Bullish Chips, where we use a proven and repeatable strategy to make money every day. This channel happens to focus on the Bullish Semiconductor ETF, which goes by the ticker symbol SOXL. But the charting method and the trading method that we use can be implemented with any company that's publicly traded in the U.S. stock market. So make sure you hit that like button and the subscribe and notification buttons as well. Really helps the channel grow. Really thank those who continue to tune in. If you haven't already, like I said, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way you're alerted to when we release new videos. We do release bonus content from time to time, so want to make sure you get those alerts. Now, the nightly and weekend videos, like tonight's video, we focus mostly on identifying triggers and targets for, trades ranging from scalps and intraday trades to leaps or long-term swings as well. So if you want a deeper dive into exactly how we set up the charts, giving the broadening formations, levels of support, resistance, things of that nature, make sure you check out the bonus content on our YouTube page. We've got a couple of videos that'll dive deeper into that for you. If you're not familiar with the STRAT, which is the base of our trading method or charting method, make sure you check out the description in the video. There's a link to this free PDF quick reference guide, teach you basically everything you need to know about the STRAT. It's a very simple system to learn, very simple to implement, but gives you a lot of information, right? So I encourage you to watch the full video. We do give triggers and targets on small time frames, but we do talk about all time frames as well. So higher time frames as well. So make sure you stay tuned for the whole video. And see what we've got. Let's go ahead and take a look at the agenda here. First, we were going to recap the price action from today, Wednesday, February 18th. Then we'll zoom out like we always do, take a look at the week, month, quarter, and year price action. Before we zoom back in, set the 4-hour markers and our triggers and targets for Thursday, February 19th. And we'll also do a quick review of the triggers and targets for the week, month, quarter, and year. Let's go ahead and take a look at the chart, starting off in the 5-minute, like we always do, to capitalize on the proven and repeatable strategy that we use to get, early entries in scalps or early entries into even longer day trades, right? The method that we use, we look for higher lows at or above opening print to get into calls. If we get into calls, we look for previous high day and overnight highs are our targets. If we go to the downside after we open and we get a lower high lower high at or below opening print, we want to look to get into puts targeting overnight low and previous low day as those targets, right? So today was a little bit trickier and wasn't so much off of the opening print throughout the day. You did have the trigger or the bounce off of the right around the opening print early on in the morning. 5-minute, you wouldn't have caught it really, right? If we bring in the end of Tuesday's action, the low of the first 5-minute candle technically does go below the lows here at the end of the day. Excuse me. So, it could be considered a lower low, then getting a higher high. Oops, there we go. All within the same candle, right? There's the high, there's a soft high right there, lower high. So you can see this candle span this whole downdraft right here. So a little bit of a fake out to the downside, then pop back to the upside, pop to the upside, a little bit of fake out to the downside before pushing back up. There was a higher low on the 1 minute. There was actually a couple of opportunities for higher lows on the 1 minute right around opening print that you could have got in. But if you don't like to play the 1 minute, like to make a little bit safer play, there wasn't really that great of an entry today based off of the strategy, the proven and repeatable strategy that we use and our rules there. You had to just really play levels, right? We talked about yesterday how important last week's 50% level was going to be. Were we going to get something to pop us up over that and press back to the upside of last week's price action? And that's really what we got. We got that pop. Drove right through previous high day, drove right through this 1-hour broadening formation and came up here to overnight high. So if you did, grab your calls down here, obviously this would be a great place to either unload the full position or part of the position, leave some left for some runners. We did end up getting a higher low here on the 5-minute. So and it was right at the overnight high level. So that would signal a more bullishness for the day. Internals were for the QQQs were pushing up as well. So it did look as though we would probably push a little bit higher. So wouldn't blame anybody if they went ahead and entered on the higher low here. The problem is we didn't get too much further after that, right? Again, we were already above this 1-hour broadening formation, above overnight high, above the 138.2 fib extension of last year's price action. which we talked about previously would all be levels of resistance, at least intraday, right? And then at that point, we kind of floundered around, went moving sideways, finally got this lower high here, lower low. So you could have entered here just based off of, risk to reward, levels basically at that point. We're past, looking for anything over opening print or looking for lower highs below opening print, because we're obviously above that. At this point, you've just got to play the levels. So you could have entered here. You did come down here, get this lower low, and then lower high, higher low. So a little bit of consolidation there that could have shook some people out. We again didn't participate very much today. This week's going to be a pretty busy week for us. It looks like it's turning out to be. So a little bit unexpected. So yeah, we didn't really play anything today. But if you did get shook out here, totally understandable. Hopefully you would have waited because you got this higher low. It was after a lower high, so hopefully you would have recognized that was some consolidation and kind of wait for things to play out, because ultimately we did get this next high that was still lower than this previous lower high that kicked off this little downdraft, and from there things kind of fell out, right? We pushed down, got this lower high here, and then continued to push down all the way back to opening print. Wicking through there and bouncing off of last month's 50% level. So that would lend itself to be a little bit more bullish, not necessarily the fact that we retraced the whole movement from the morning, but the fact that we did get the bounce, at least initially, off of last week's 50% level, and we did close above previous day's high. So not the most bullish thing in the world, but it would lean more bullish than bearish, right? Let's see, after hours, up slightly, but green so far in after hours. So that does, have a little bit of carryover. It looks like into after hours. We'll just have to see what happens with tomorrow morning. Any news overnight or in the morning. But then we also have some economic data, jobs numbers being released. excuse me, in the morning before the market opens, which could greatly affect where not only overnight high is, but where overnight low could be, depending on what the results of those numbers are. Whether you feel they're cooked or not. They still get read off and the market still reacts to them. So we just have to be prepared again for whichever way price action goes, which we'll see here in a minute. We'll be prepared for. But yeah, that's today's price action, right? You perfect opportunity for two-sided action. Would have loved to participate in that today if we could have, but again, had to take care of some other things. So applies to any of those who were able to capitalize on both the upside movement or the downside movement, or just either one, right? Just picking and choosing where you place your orders is a skill in and of its own, right? Like we've said before, sometimes not playing is the best play. Looking at it strictly from the 5-minute, again, not a whole lot of triggers in the morning to try and get that upside opportunity. If we do switch to the 15, right, you can see we got this lower high here that kicked off that downtrend. Let me make this bigger for those on phone. Right, here's the push from the morning. There's that higher low, higher high, push down, lower high, right? As soon as we broke and set that lower high, perfect opportunity to enter puts and capitalize to the downside, even if you missed out on the price action to the upside, right? So, and then, the bounce off of opening print and last week's 50% level, if you're looking for some type of swing, looking pretty good so far. Again, maybe a little risky depending on your expiration date, just because of the economic data that we have coming out tomorrow morning. But, as of now, things do look to be in your favor, right? If we look at the 1 hour, obviously we set a higher low. Let's get the right chart out here. There we go. There we go. The low from today's, the first hour candle of today was essentially that higher low in this sequence here, right? So there's low, lower high, higher low, higher high, higher low. So we've started an uptrend on the 1 hour, and we've made that higher high. This pullback that we had in the afternoon looks like it could have been possibly just to set another higher low here. We'll have to see how things continue to turn out, but it does look as though we've gone from just a very short downtrend on the 1 hour to an uptrend. But what I will point out, let's actually zoom out to the 4 hour to kind of show this a little bit better. Let's get a better chart out here, and we can see we're really just in this range still, So if we look at, 58, 59 to 70, 71 as the range, really not even 71, just 70, 69, excuse me, you can see where if this, let's make a horizontal level, right? If this is the top of the range and bottom of the range is about around here, right? Here's where we initially broke out, found support, pushed up, right? This was a look above, fail, come back to the bottom of the range, bounce off the bottom of the range, came down. Now this was a look below the range and failed, so we came back up into range, but it, obviously rejected again off of that $68, $69 area, came back down, bounced off of that $59 area once again and pushed back up. Now we're back up to that $68 area. So tomorrow, even if we do get that push to the upside, we do need to watch out. Is it just going to be another look above and fail for this range trade that we've been in? And then you've got to look to sell calls, buy puts on the way back down to capitalize on that price movement. So just want to kind of keep that in mind. As far as trend on the 4 hour, haven't really established one. It's still just moving sideways, right? We've got like soft higher highs, soft higher lows, higher high, higher low, soft. It's just bouncing around. So within that 68 to 70 level down to 60 to 58, 60, 59 probably. That range is what we're looking at, right? So obviously it's never going to just be perfect, right? We're not going to see every time it just bounce off the exact levels, but if you can just visualize, this is the general range that we're in, and once we get back to this top of this range, to look out for a possible look above and fail. So just keep that in mind. 4 hour really is no trend. Hour has started the uptrend. We've talked about how important the trend on the hour is, especially with the the day and below being in such volatility, right? From the day perspective, we got what we talked about yesterday with this 3 combo, 2 down, 2 up. Didn't quite reach magnitude, but we also talked about how we've got to reverse the trend on the 1 hour and get something established on the 4 hour before we can totally expect it to just make the magnitude to the upside in just one day. So we talked about how it could take 2 days to get to the top of that magnitude, and it looks like that may be what happens. Now, just looking at the candle itself, a lot bigger wick on the top than the bottom, right? We still finished green, but the body's not that big. So inverted hammer-ish candle here, not the most bullish thing in the world. But again, we did close green, so we closed above where we opened, and we're still towards the upper part of this range. So just want to keep in mind where we are and what you may need to you may need to reverse your strategy if we do get that look above and fail here, right? If you're long right now, you may need to look at selling those longs and getting into selling calls and buying puts, right? So let's see what happens, right? Just got to continue to be patient. That's basically everything on the smaller time frames. Looking at the day, right? Here is that range that we traded in at the end of the year. Popped up out of that range. We've come back down. We finally got a daily and weekly higher low, or not necessarily higher low, but using what was resistance before at the end of the year, turning that into support on the daily and weekly time frame. That's pretty major. So we've got to just continue to watch how things go. And as of right now, we're looking at a higher low on the day chart. It is coming from a lower low, so it's not like we're continuing an uptrend. We are just basically broadening this formation that we've got here. Oops. Right, there's that, and there's that essentially, right? We've got this broadening formation that's been established. We're pushing back towards the upside, but we've really got to see what's going to happen once we get to the top of this range, right? So that's everything on the smaller time frames. Let's look at the week. And again, things are looking great from the week on up, right? We have an inside candle so far this week, but we are, still at the upper half, almost upper third of the previous week's price action. We're coming from a higher low on the week time frame. Haven't made the higher high yet, but just working on that. So, trend still intact, uptrend still intact on the week time frame. Nothing's broken down there. Just got to continue to be patient, knowing that we could be in a little bit more of a range trade right now, and need to maybe wait for, earnings season is kind of wrapping up. We've got this economic data here. Let's see if we can't build a little bit more momentum to go back to the upside. But we are dealing with this monthly broadening formation here, this green line going diagonally slightly up to the right here. That's a monthly broadening formation, so it can definitely act as resistance. We have poked above these weekly broadening formations right here, these purple diagonal lines going up, but haven't totally defeated them, right? We've got this higher low at this lower broadening formation here, body above this higher broadening formation. So it does appear as though we are defeating those, but you can see how they're converging with this monthly broadening formation and why we're still running into resistance. So got to continue to power up there. But from the week perspective, everything is still looking good, right? We're above that 200 fib extension. Let's go activate of the bull flag from the April 7th low, right? Here's that flag pull. There's the flag. And we've had this explosion since then, already at that 200 fib extension. So if we do get another leg to the upside, look for that 78 level to be, one of those targets, once we pass that all-time high. But from the week standpoint, nothing's breaking down. Same with the month. Let's get a little cleaner chart here. Inside of the month, upper third of the previous month's price action. Just want to make sure that we don't go 2 down on the month to kick off that 1, 2 up, 2 down to bring us back down to or possibly bring us back down to this $28 level. So just continue to watch that. Not really anything to speak on at this point unless we do get a greater pullback and start getting close to this 2 down again, like we did early on in the month. On the quarter, right, we've talked about this ad nauseum. Basically, we ran the 1 combo 2 down, combo 2 up strat, reached magnitude at 70.08, so not much left there to do from the quarter perspective. And I know it's early in the year, but technically we've done the same on the year, right? Last year was a 2 down. This year we went 2 up at the beginning of January, and we've reached that magnitude of 70.08 to complete that 2 down, 2 up reversal. Again, just looking for all-time highs up here at 74.21 and continuing to move up from there, right? So that is the zoomed out view for you. Let's go ahead and bring it back down to the 5-minute time frame and bring up the chart for tomorrow to look at how we will attack things. Definitely we'll start out here with the proven and repeatable strategy that we talk about every day, and how we'll attack that tomorrow. Let's just say, overnight range is, somewhere around here, right? We've got overnight low here, overnight high here. We've got previous high a day up at the top of the screen, previous low a day at the bottom of the screen. These won't change. Previous high day, previous low day, but overnight high and overnight low may change. This is just an example of how things may look tomorrow morning. So if this is how things look tomorrow morning and we get, for whatever reason, an open, somewhere within the range. Actually, you know what? Let's just say we get an open, right at overnight high. Then obviously that kind of eliminates overnight high as a target if we do press to the upside. So if we open, we push up, maybe get a rejection off of overnight high, and then come back and get a higher low at or above this opening print level, then we want to definitely look to get into calls. But we've just got that previous high day as the target out there for this particular, early morning, early scalp strategy, right? Now, if we reach that 68.04 previous high day and we've got momentum, we can keep pushing through it. Obviously, we've got triggers and targets for the higher time frames that, we can roll into and look at those here in a second. But just if we're looking at just this particular strategy, we're taking, triggers off of price movement according to according to the opening print. We're looking for higher lows at or above opening print to get into calls, targeting overnight high, which obviously is out of the picture there, and then previous high day. To the flip side, if we open and we push down, then we get some type of bounce, but we get a lower high at or below opening print. We want to look to get into puts, targeting overnight low and previous low day, right? I think that's pretty clear. I think everybody knows where we stand on that. From the standpoint of the more like a day, more full day trade, possibly even overnight swing, go ahead and take a look at the 4-hour chart here. You can see we've got some broadening formations that have formed and that we're basically in the middle of it, right? So that 67.39 as of right now acting as that resistance level as it has, in the past. That's where we had to look above and fail previously, look above and fail again. So we are at that level, which is why we want to be cautious about the look above and fail again. But if we do get price action to the upside, That would give us, in the first 4 hour candle of Thursday's action, if we go 2 up, that gives us that 3-1-2 up reversal, triggering at the high of the 1, magnitude being the high of the 3. So obviously not a lot of magnitude there, but it is something that you could play for. If you get multiple contracts, if you're at the money, in the money, you can still see some okay profit from that. But your entry has got to be pretty dang good, right? So if we do get that 3-1-2 up, we want to look for continuation in that second 4 hour candle to try and continue to take us higher, right? What we do need to be on the lookout though, however, is, does this 3-1-2 up turn into a 1-2 up 2 down reversal, right? So definitely want to watch how the end of that first 4 hour candle plays out on Thursday. If it ends weak, then that 1-2 up 2 down is definitely on the table and as a possibility for the second half of the day. But if it finishes strong, then we want to continue to look to go and press towards last week's high. Right? I'm not saying that we'll do that tomorrow, but that is the ultimate move for that combo 2 down 2 up on the 1 day chart, which we'll look at here in a second. And just logically looking at price levels where we would aim for once we break above the previous day's high. Right now, to the downside, there is still the opportunity for the 3-1-2 down. Again, not a lot of magnitude on that move, and you want to watch out. If we do get the 3-1-2 down, does that turn into a 1-2 down 2 up back to the upside? Right, setting some type of higher low on the 4 hour time frame. That is a very, very good possibility there. So we want to stay on our toes and just keep remembering that, everything from the day chart and lower, we're in some volatility, right? The week and up, we're fine. We're cruising. Nothing's broken down. At worst, we're going sideways, right? But from the day and below, those time frames, we've got a lot more volatility there. So just keep your head on a swivel and know that if we do get that 3-1-2 down, that may be it. That may be where we turn around and for that 1-2 down 2 up, but same thing to the upside. But again, we'll just have to continue to play it by ear. Not a lot of magnitude on those moves from the 4 hour. If we look at the 1 day, and let's go, there we go, that's a little cleaner. If we look at the 1 day, right, we obviously have the opportunity to complete the 3 combo 2 down, combo 2 up. Right, that would take us up to that 70.86 level, and then obviously we want to press the last month's high at 71.98. Market makers expected move high is up here at 73.55, so it is expected that there, we could poke above those levels, but that would bring us right to this daily broadening formation. So watch out for sideways action at the least once we get to that level. Not saying it has to reverse. Market makers expected move high is not an end all be all level, but it is a level of inflection that, at least from an intraday perspective, you should respect. To the downside, we would just have a good old 2 up 2 down lower high, trend reversal, or not necessarily trend reversal. It would be a trend reversal if we go lower low, right, coming from this lower high, but it will give you a little bit more momentum to the downside when you're coming from that lower high. It's different than a 2 up 2 down trade when the 2 up is a higher high, right? So just keep that in mind. So we could see that momentum, throw us all the way through the week flip, flip the week back red at 62.02 and bring us back to last week's lows here around 59.29. If we do get that big move, remember that 59.29, that will make us go 2 down on the week. And that's coming from a 2 up. Great. That 2 up last week locked in the previous week as a higher low in the week time frame, but that 2 up last week did not make a higher high. So if we go 2 down this week, that means that locks in last week in as a lower high. So at the very least, we're moving sideways, if not starting to turn the trend back to the downside. Not saying that at all. I'm not making predictions, but I'm telling you what we need to continue to watch out for. And if we're thinking ahead, those are the things we need to think about. So not saying at all that we're going to go 2 down, set this lower high on the week and start a downtrend. But that is a possibility with where we're positioned in the price action this week so far. All right, so 2 up, 2 down possibility. Entry obviously at the low of Wednesday, exit being the low of Tuesday. All right, let's go ahead here to the notes and look at the just the hard numbers, right? Because I've been looking at the charts quite a bit here already. But right, this is for Thursday, February 19th, 2026. There will be 219 trading days left in 2026 on Thursday, and the close price on Wednesday, February 18th, was 66.29. We know the week flips red at 62.02, month at 59.51, then the quarter and the year got to get down to 45.13 to flip those to red. So for all intents and purposes, right now we are full time frame continuity to the upside. Week, month, quarter, and year are green. We know the expected move for the week by the market makers from the close of Friday's price was plus or minus $8.96, giving us an expected range of 73.55 to 55.63. So kind of just dead in the middle of that range right now. There's no gaps above currently, but there are a few gaps, quite a few gaps below. So we want to keep those in mind, keep those in our notes so that we have those for a quick reference. And we know from a scalping perspective, we're looking for higher lows at or above opening print to get into calls and lower highs at or below opening print to get into puts. Targets to the upside, overnight high, previous high day. Targets to the downside, overnight low, previous low day. Talked about on the 4-hour chart, there's the opportunity for a 3-1-2 down, triggering at 65.04. Magnitude is 64.07, so not a whole lot of magnitude there, but we do have some extended targets listed for you if we do get momentum to the downside. If we continue to push to the upside with this 3-1-2 up, that triggers at 67.66. Magnitude of that move is 68.44, and if we get there and push with some more momentum, we've got this extended targets out here for you as well. On the day, if we go to the downside, that gives us a 2 up, 2 down, triggering at 64.07. That's the magnitude of the 4-hour move. Once we trigger at 64.07, the magnitude for that move is 59.56. And since we do seem to be in an neutral trend at worst, know that that is quite a ways to go for magnitude from 64 to 60, essentially $4. That's a decent sized move on a day. So we could see 62.02 as a possible bounce point, or we would just hit and start to go sideways. If we do reach magnitude, though, we have an extended target out here for you of 58.53. And then to the upside, there's that opportunity for this 3 combo 2 down, combo 2 up to continue. Triggers at 68.44, magnitude is 70.86, and then we have the extended target of 71.98 for you out there. On the week, again, we're still inside, so still the opportunity to go 2 up, 2 down. That triggers at 59.29, magnitude is 49.33, so big move there. Don't really want to see that triggered if you are a bull. To the upside, there's still the opportunity for this 2 down combo 2 up to trigger at 70.86, magnitude not that far above it at 71.98, but we do have all-time high of 74.21, not too far above that, and then we're in blue sky territory after that if we reach that with any type of momentum. On the month, we are inside as well. Again, protecting against that 1 2 up 2 down. Got to stay above 45.08. As long as we're above 45.08, we're okay. But if we do trigger that, if we go below 45.08, magnitude of that move is 28.12. So that's another decent move. Now, we are in this uptrend, so we do have to recognize that we may not make it to magnitude with that big of a magnitude. So we do have 35.70 as a possible bounce point if we do trigger that 1 2 up 2 down on the month. If we do continue to the upside, this 2 up 2 up, we've got to get above 71.98. And then again, we're looking at all-time highs and blue sky territory as your targets. We talked about on the quarter, we already ran the 1 combo 2 up, combo 2 down strat. 1 combo 2 down, combo 2 up strat, reached magnitude at 70.08. So not a lot to do there. Same with the year, right? We reached magnitude, and we just got to wait for these lower time frames to set up more either reversals or continuation patterns, right? So there you have it. Those are your triggers and targets for everything from a scalping perspective all the way up through the 1-year chart. Tried to jam in as much information as possible without taking up too much of your time. So hope everybody enjoyed today's video. Just as a quick reminder, if you've made it this far in the video and you haven't already, go ahead and give us a thumbs up, right? It's a free video. We don't have any membership fees or anything like that we're trying to sell. Just trying to put out as much good information as possible to help out as many people as possible. So a thumbs up does go a long ways if you've made it this far, once again. And we think it's a pretty fair exchange for some free information. So we'd really appreciate the thumbs up if you don't mind. And if you think this would help somebody else in their trading, go ahead and give it a share. But we'll be here every day trying to give the best information we can for free. So continue to tune in. If you're a new viewer, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way you're alerted when the videos do drop. And we'll go ahead and end the video here like we normally do. If you're watching this Wednesday night, we hope you get some good rest tonight. If you're watching this Thursday morning or Thursday during the day, we hope you got some good rest last night. And we look forward to getting out there and trading with you.